Is Phantasmal Flames about to become the most iconic Charizard set of the decade? And right now, I think it's a good idea to look at previous Charizard themed sets and see how well Phantasmal Flames actually compares to these. Now also, for some good news, I actually am gifting a subscriber this Oricorio Illustration Rare. This is a really cool card. Now, if I do reply to your comment with this Bulbasaur emoji, then well done, this card is being sent to you. And also, for some cool news, I will be giving away some packs of Pokemon 151 and Journey Together on my Whatnot stream on 7th of November, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'll talk more about that giveaway and that stream a little bit later on in this video. But as I was saying, Phantasmal Flames is very much a Charizard themed set. Now, if you're new to the hobby, literally for more than 10 years, nearly every new era of the Pokemon TCG has a Charizard themed set, and they usually have the same characteristics. They are usually at the start of a TCG era. Charizard is the main theme of the set, and there's always a top Charizard chase card. And more often than not, other than the Charizard card in the set, honestly, the sets can leave a lot to be desired, and I'm going to explain more about that in just a second, though if we look at the previous Charizard themed sets, in 2014 we had Flash Fire, which had the famous Mega Charizard Secret Rare, which is easily the most desired card from that set. Then in 2017 for the Sun and Moon era, we had Burning Shadows, and then in 2020 we had Darkness Ablaze, which introduced the first real chase card of Sword and Shield with the Darkness Ablaze Charizard, though of course as years have passed, this card is nowhere near as desired as it once was. And then in 2023, Obsidian Flames released, and of course, as many people will recognize the Charizard Special Illustration Rare from this set, which was very hyped, though after a few months of release, collectors realized it wasn't actually that rare to pull. And now at the end of 2025, we have Phantasmal Flames, which also has a top Charizard card as a chase, which is looking very cool, and collectors also believe that this is going to be one of the most expensive cards in the modern era. But you know, having a Charizard set release early in a new era also cements that the Mega Evolution sets are most certainly a refresh point for the TCG. Though honestly, I think it's cool to look into some of the top chase cards we have for Phantasmal Flames and discuss whether or not this set will be worth buying. Alright, so Phantasmal Flames, a lot of people are excited for this. The first thing I want to talk about is the Elite Trainer Box, you know, the Pokemon Center version and the non-Pokemon Center version. The ETB obviously looks cool. Charizard on the ETB is always going to have a lot of fan demand because, you know, it's Charizard on the box. People just love, you know, it's pretty much the most popular Pokemon of all time. And, you know, it's pretty much a race between Charizard and Pikachu, though I think for TCG enthusiasts, I do think Charizard pretty much overtakes it even one level above because, you know, there's just something about Charizard in the TCG and how iconic it's become. Obviously, Pokemon Center products are so hard to get since Prismatic Evolutions, if you don't secure a pre-order or, you know, you don't get it within the seconds that it comes across on the website, it's very hard to kind of obtain these. Now, there also is a Charizard X Ultra Premium collection, and honestly, I think this is looking pretty cool. You know, the mat is awesome. Charizard X is definitely, I think, the more loved Mega Evolution because, you know, you have the awesome color scheme that it has. You know, the black and blue looks so good together. It's like a perfect mix. And what makes this one stand out so much is the promo cards inside. But one that is really awesome that is featured in this premium collection is the Oricorio Special Illustration Rare, which is of course created by Shinji Kanda. I am not sure where price points are gonna go for this card. Now, it is a guaranteed card, but of course it comes in the premium collection. Because of this, the premium collection is gonna be a very hard kind of product to get, though because it's guaranteed, will that make that a little bit more easier to get for collectors or will it make it more difficult? This card, I feel a lot of it boils down to how hard it's going to be to grade. Shinji Kanda artworks usually have quite hard cards to get as PSA 10. The Lost Origin Giratina has a difficult chance of getting a PSA 10. The Magikarp is quite difficult and so is the Seismitoad. If we look at previous Shinji Kanda artworks and the difficulty they've had at getting PSA 10s, if this one follows those same footsteps, you know, the PSA 10 version could be a very expensive chase card. And of course, Shinji Kanda has now developed a big following. So because of his artworks, and this is just such a classic Shinji Kanda artwork, there could be a huge kind of price tag for this card. Part of me feels like it would have been awesome to have this card within Phantasmal Flames, you know, so it's quite interesting to see that this one's in a premium collection, but nonetheless, a very good artwork. Now, also, just as a quick one, as I did mention earlier in the video, I am going live on Whatnot and giving away packs of Pokemon 151 and Journey Together on November 7th, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot. Now, if you've never used Whatnot before, it's an engaging live shopping platform that lets users bid on products all in real time. Now, one of the best parts about Whatnot is Pokemon is absolutely massive on it. You'll find streamers from all over the world cracking packs live while hanging out and chatting with the community. Now, if you just want to try it out, you can just join my stream and there's a heap of giveaways, and I'll also be auctioning packs and singles starting at $1. In the last few streams, we've pulled some awesome hits for the giveaways, and we've even seen a lot of illustration rares, though we haven't had the Charizard, Venusaur, or Blastoise Special Illustration Rare yet, so let's hope we can pull that on November 7th at 6 p.m. Now, the best part is, if you're new to Whatnot and you've never used it before, you'll actually get a $15 credit to use on the platform by signing up using my link, or you can just do that by heading to the QR code that's appearing on screen right now. Honestly, a massive shout out to Whatnot for supporting the channel. Now let's get back into this video. Now, I want to first talk about the illustration rares within Phantasmal Flames and then go on to the special illustration rares in the set. The first one's the Oricorio Illustration Rare, which is definitely a cool artwork, you know. Probably not going to have any crazy price tag on this one. It's just going to be a standard illustration rare, but I imagine there will be people that love this card, and you know, it's a Gen 3 Pokemon. There will be a lot of collectors who love this card. The Piplup is really awesome, and I think this card looks fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, this is a starter Pokemon. With starter Pokemon illustration rares, you never know how they can go. This is a really awesome artwork, really rate it. So I'm gonna see where this one goes. I've got a feeling it's gonna be quite in demand, but of course we're gonna have to see pull rates, right? Because if we look at Obsidian Flames, like that's the most previous Charizard theme set we can go from, that had pretty easy pull rates, right? So that kind of made all the illustration rares become some of the cheapest illustration rares you can get within the Scarlet and Violet era. Will Phantasmal Flames have very difficult pull rates, or will they be super easy? That is going to dictate a lot of the pricing for these cards. This Piplup though is looking like a very big winner at the moment, and you know, I just know so many people love this starter Pokemon. It is so loved. So for that reason, you know, when we look at, you know, like the Squirtle illustration rare within Stellar Crown, or the Bulbasaur illustration rare, or even if we look at the Pokemon 151, the starter trio illustration rares, for illustration rares, they get very good prices. So I definitely wouldn't count this Piplup out, because, you know, there's so many Gen 4 fans, starter Pokemon, you know, it ticks a lot of those boxes that, you know, make, you know, quite desired illustration rares. Now, the Dewgong illustration rare is such a sick card. Honestly, I feel like this would have fit so well within Pokemon 151. I actually can't remember Dewgong getting any cool cards in such a long time. I actually don't think I've even seen like a Dewgong card that I'm like, wow, I want that in my collection. So, you know, for pricing right now, I have no idea where they're going to go. Like I said, I do feel like the Piplup will be very, very desired, because like I said, it's a starter Pokemon. But Dewgong as well, given the fact that it has such an awesome artwork, this is looking pretty cool, man. And I feel the illustration rares so far are definitely looking, you know, like a step up from what we had with the Mega Evolution, the first kind of base set for this new era. And like I said, a lot of this has to do with the pull rates. Now, moving on to the Zacian illustration rare, we've had a few Zacian cards, you know, within the last few years, which is really interesting, right? I probably prefer some of the other Zacian cards we've had over the years, like Crown Zeniths, and same with Hop Zacian. You know, at the moment, you know, from first impression, it's not like I prefer the other Zacian cards we've had. And the Ambipom illustration rare, this is a really awesome artwork. You know, prices with these can go anywhere. It just depends if it's a very hyped card. And if it is easy pull rates, you know, it's probably a nice card that you can add to your collection at a good price. Now, moving on to the special illustration rares. The first big one is the Charizard Special Illustration Rare. So I suppose one point about Charizard themed sets, okay, and I guess something that's a little bit more annoying is that they feel like they under-deliver on everything other than the Charizard chase card. It feels like Charizard themed sets are so hyper-fixated on having Charizard as the greatest card in the set, and they don't want to spoil their golden egg. I mean, while I like some of the cards, there's just such a huge quality difference with always the Charizard chase card versus the others. And this isn't the first time, right? I mean, Obsidian Flames is the same, and so is Darkness Ablaze. And pretty much all Charizard themed sets always feel that only Charizard can be the centerpiece of it all. So I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but I feel every Charizard set is just positioned to make Charizard be leagues better above every other card. And because of this, Charizard sets don't actually perform that well in the long term, because it's always a one-horsed race. And honestly, I feel Phantasmal Flames will be the same as previous Charizard sets. It's going to be very hyped before it releases, and then a few months later, it's seen as one of the weaker sets. Now also, if you are wondering how to keep up with the hobby, a very easy way to do that is on my channel's official Discord server. You'll also be first in line to hear about upcoming streams and giveaways. The server invite is in the video's description. This Charizard card is just so well designed, okay? And I can't remember where I saw this from. Honestly, I think I was like scrolling, was it Reddit or something? But someone did a print screen and just took a photo of the bottom corner of this card. And they said that could have been an artwork just in and that of itself. Now, the whole card is incredible, all right? So, you know, there is definitely a chance that this card could be one of the biggest chase cards we've seen in recent years. The Japanese version from Inferno X is getting insane prices for a Japanese special art rare. This one could definitely have the same vibe, but of course, maybe it's gonna have easier pull rates, but I don't know if that's gonna pull that much demand away from it. This is just such a well-designed card. I love how you've got all the kind of evolutions of Charizard. You go from Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and then it's Mega Evolution, which takes the spotlight in the card. It's just a fantastic artwork, and I think because of that, there's gonna be a lot of demand, and this is gonna put Phantasmal Flames in a unique position. But then again, the fact that it is a one-horse race with a lot of these cards, I'm going to show you some of the special illustration rares, but you know, it does feel like this is just so much leagues above the other cards in the set. We're moving on to the Mega Sharpedo Special Illustration Rare. I'm a little bit biased because I love Sharpedo as a Pokemon, but you know, it's cool to see Mega Pokemon get their kind of spotlight within the TCG again. It's been so many years. You know, I think 2017 is the last time we had Mega Evolution Pokemon cards in the TCG, and most of those in 2017 came through promo boxes. Before that, it was like evolutions, and like a lot of the Mega Evolution cards that we saw were from 2014 and 2015. So, you know, it's been a very long time, and cool Pokemon to get a special illustration rare. Like I said, I like Sharpedo, but I know the general collector base maybe won't be that like drawn into this card, right? It's kind of like Iron Hands from Prismatic Evolutions. I love that card, but whether or not a lot of collectors love that card, you know, it just really depends. And because of this, like I said, it just feels like Charizard is in that top position and every other card feels second place, or even it's so much leagues behind it. But you know, nonetheless, it will be an interesting card. Probably will be one of the more expensive cards within the set, but then again, I don't think it's going to compete anywhere near Charizard's price point. The Rotom EX Special Illustration Rare also is pretty cool. You can see in the background you have the different forms of Rotom as well. But in terms of like how desirable this card will be, I don't think in terms of pricing that it's going to be anything crazy. It's probably going to be similar to the Yanmega from Destined Rivals. I don't think it's going to get like crazy kind of like, wow, like this card is going to be a top chase card. I do think the main card at the moment that everyone's going to be focusing on is that Charizard, but of course it is a nice little card to add to your collection. Hopefully, if pull rates are friendly, that it will be easy to add to your collections as well. And the Mega Lopunny Special Illustration Rare, and you know, I do think this is going to be the second most expensive Special Illustration Rare from the set. That is my own kind of predictions at the moment, but we're going to have to see, you know, pull rates, what people desire, you know, but like I said, I do feel it's going to be such a big price difference between the Charizard Special Illustration Rare and these cards. The only card that may compete with that Mega Charizard SIR is the Mega Evolution Hyper Rare Charizard, which you can see right here. It feels like these Mega Evolution Hyper Rares are going to be the main kind of front runner things for these Mega Evolution sets. Now, the thing about these is they're pull rate. If we're going off anything based off the previous set Mega Evolution and what we saw the pull rates are for the Mega Gardevoir and the Mega Lucario, the Mega Evolution Hyper Rares, then we can assume that the pull rates for this are going to be ridiculously difficult, and there will be a lot of desire for this card, considering the fact it is a Mega Charizard card in a very, very high rarity, and a rarity that is very difficult to pull. But this is definitely going to be the most rare card in the set. Whether or not it's going to be the most desired card with collectors, you know, that really depends. Charizard cards always have a lot of demand. When you have Pokemon as popular as Charizard, or as popular as, you know, Pikachu or Mewtwo, you do get collectors that love collecting every version of that card, and that of course pushes the price up. And you know, Charizard just gets so many chase cards within an era, right? If you look at Scarlet and Violet, this is just at the top of my head. You had, you know, you had the Obsidian Flames Charizard, you had the Paldean Fates Charizard, you had, you know, the Pokemon 151 Charizard. That's how many Charizard cards you had just in Scarlet and Violet era. You know, with Mega Evolutions, I highly doubt this is going to be the only Charizard card we have. We're going to have a lot more. So, you know, we're just going to have to see how it goes. Right now, Phantasmal Flames is looking interesting, but I do think it is a little bit of a weaker set than a lot of people are kind of like speaking about. I feel like it's going to be a set that in kind of when we look over it, and if we do a tier list, you know, in 2 years time from now, and we look at the Mega Evolution era, I feel like it's going to be not that exciting as a lot of other kind of eras were. Don't forget that the Mega Evolution was a base set, was okay. I don't think it was fantastic. Like with Phantasmal Flames, I think the Special Illustration Rares are okay. I think the Charizard is just leagues above, and it does feel like it is a bit of a one-horse race. Very reminiscent of Darkness Ablaze, very reminiscent of Flashfire, very reminiscent of Obsidian Flames, Burning Shadows. It all has that same formula with Charizard themed sets, and it's just playing out like a typical Charizard themed set. Nothing too different for Phantasmal Flames. The only big difference is that you have so many more people who have entered the hobby and they really want to collect now. That is kind of the big shift that's happened right now. Whether or not it's actually that amazing, I actually don't think the set is looking that incredible at this stage, but of course, you know, opinions can change as time goes on. Though I think there's a bit of a discussion to be had about the future of Pokemon cards, and I speak about the future in this video on screen right here. Within this video on screen, I go over the Pokemon hobby and I talk about what we can expect in the future. You can just click the video that's appearing on screen. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.